All right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of For the Culture for the WWE Universe. It's Kid Cardinal.
And Dropout.
And obviously, we're going to go over this week in the WWE Universe. We got a lot to talk about. Raw, SmackDown, NXT. We're going to talk about all the highlights. A lot is going on the road to WrestleMania. So we got just a bunch of stuff to go over. So we're going to get right into it. First show, this past Monday on Raw. Chris Jericho comes out, and I mean, he spoiled Kevin Owens' party at Fastlane against Goldberg, cost him the Universal title. And he pretty much came out to gloat about it and let everybody know that he was happy that that's what happened. He was happy with the results, obviously, and he pretty much ended up calling Kevin Owens out.
Yeah. So he called him out. Well, basically, he said, the audience, he was from Chicago, so, he was born there, so he was hyping it up. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he wants to know why Kevin Owens stabbed him in the back 3 weeks ago. I guess it hurt him. So, Kevin Owens came out and
pretty much let him know that he was a tool in order to continue to stay the Universal Champion. So, obviously, it hurt Chris Jericho's feelings, and Chris Jericho pretty much called him out and said, all right, well, let's settle this, So now, it's official, WrestleMania, Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho for the United States title. I'm super excited about it. I think it's going to be a great match. And one of the biggest things, the most important things for me is the fact that the Universal title has been out of the picture for a minute. It's really just been about the Universal title, and it's good to see other championships worth something because it feels like they just have been there and they're not important anymore. So it's good. I really would like to see this story lead into something more important for that championship. Anyways, other than that, Chris Jericho lets him know, why wait till WrestleMania? Let's do this right now.
Yeah.
And, of course, Kevin Owens obliges. And as he's walking down the ramp, none other than Samoa Joe comes out and starts beating the tar out of Chris Jericho. And Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe put a beating on him.
Yeah, and then surprisingly, Sami comes out.
Sami
Zayn comes out with the chair and starts hitting everybody. He gets put down, but then Jericho gets up and then gets the chair and hits Samoa Joe.
And the equalizer comes, and it's pretty much a fair fight at that point. I was happy that Sami came out. This leads into the match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Clearly, Kevin Owens was upset from the night before losing the title. He took it out on Sami pretty bad. He hit him with a few power bombs.
And then neck breakers.
A few neck breakers.
Which is, it looks like it hurts. So.
It definitely didn't look like it tickled, for sure. He put a beating on him and hit him with the 1, 2, 3. And Kevin Owens took that match. So moving on to the next segment, after the match between KO and Chris Jericho, Goldberg comes out to celebrate the win at Fastlane the night before, winning the Universal title. It was great. He was leading up into, a great speech, and none other than
Paul Heyman
came out to announce who?
Brock Lesnar.
Mr. Brock Lesnar himself. He said that he was coming out to congratulate Goldberg on his win, and better than anybody, how does that usually end with Brock?
He always does his signature moves, which is
you either take a flight on the F5,
or
you take a trip to Suplex City,
yes.
Right? And Goldberg ended up taking an F5 to the face, and that was the end of the celebration. But basically, this is all just leading up to WrestleMania. A lot of things are going to happen. We got a few weeks left, so they're starting to ramp it up. And either way, we know it's solidified. It's going to be Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. It's going to be an exciting match. I'm really looking forward to it. Two big legends in the sport. So, anyways, after that, moving on. the cruiserweight division. The match between Neville and Rich Swann.
Rich Swann.
Great match. Fantastic match. Neville just defended the cruiserweight title the night before at Fastlane. Doing it again Monday night on Raw. I mean, like him or not, that's tough to do. Rich Swann, great guy. I mean, funny as hell with the tights
and the dancing.
I mean, he's a goofball sometimes,
for sure.
But he's one of the best cruiserweights in the division, hands down. Anyways, they had a great match, but Neville took the W again. And for the post-fight interview, none other than Austin Aries himself came out to congratulate him and also ask him if there was anybody else left in the cruiserweight division to challenge him for the title. Neville was adamant that there wasn't any, but Austin Aries disagreed.
Yep.
So I mean, Austin Aries gave him. They got into a scuffle. Austin Aries put him down, held up the cruiserweight title. Now it's not official. It's nothing official yet, but it looks like that's where we're headed for WrestleMania.
And if
that happens, it's going to be a great match.
It's going to be dope.
Two of the biggest cruiserweights ever. Austin Aries coming over from TNA. Like, I mean, it was a big move. Here we are.
Yeah.
So, anyways, on to the tag team match between
Big Cass, Enzo,
Certified G's versus Anderson and Gallows.
I mean, it went pretty good. I mean, it was a good match. It was like a rematch from Fastlane for the tag team championship. It was going good. It was going well. Enzo, being the goofball that he is, jumps out of the ring. I think it was towards Anderson or Gallows. Forgot that part, but he jumps towards him. He knocks him down. He starts dancing. He's hype. Cesaro and Sheamus are outside ringside. I don't know why. Drinking coffee, and Enzo bumps into Cesaro, and he gets mad. He gets involved into the match, and then it stops.
It ends in a disqualification.
Yeah. So, I mean, after that, they kept arguing backstage. Mick Foley got in the middle of it, said, "Stop! Like, we're not handling this backstage." Next Monday, it's gonna be Big Cass, Enzo versus Cesaro and Sheamus.
So, for one, I'm super disappointed that Enzo and Big Cass lost the rematch. I think they're one of the most hype and at the peak of their success right now, and I really feel like they deserve the championships. Whether they win them or not is another story. We'll see what happens going into WrestleMania. We got a few weeks left. We don't know who the number one contenders are going to be for the titles. Hopefully they win this upcoming match. I got a lot of love for Sheamus and Cesaro, but I don't think they're in the same league as a tag team. Not at all. So, I mean, it sucked that happened. I'm looking forward to next week. We're going to see what happens. To lead after the tag team match, we had Samoa Joe versus Chris Jericho, and to say it was short-lived, that's pretty much what happened. Samoa Joe, being the powerhouse that he is, put him out of commission outside of the ring and made him pass out. But it didn't stop there. After the match was over, Samoa Joe went to continue to put more of a beating on him. Luckily, Chris Jericho snapped out of it, was able to give him the code breaker and fend him off before he could do any more damage. So I'm glad Chris Jericho made it out of that.
He came back, but I mean that victory was lame.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't that exciting of a match for sure. I think it was a low point on the show for sure. But leading into a high point of the show, we had the women's division. What did you say was going to happen?
Like I said, it was like I predicted it was going to happen. Monday Night Raw, Stephanie McMahon, like she always is, ruthless, got involved on Monday and just set up a match for Bayley and Sasha Banks that night. And if Sasha Banks won, it was going to be a triple threat. But if Bayley won, it was just going to be her and Charlotte. And what happened?
And Sasha took it. Charlotte tried to interfere. Didn't work. Sasha Banks came in the clutch. Pinned Bayley for the 1, 2, 3. She's going to WrestleMania there's going to be a triple threat match for the Raw Women's title between Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Charlotte Flair. Now we're not going to get. I'm not going to get into who I think is going to win. We're going to save that video for the day before WrestleMania. Okay, we'll put out our predictions before that. But what I can say is that obviously I'm a hugger. I'm a Bayley fan all the way.
Oh, yeah.
I hope she wins, but we'll see what happens. We'll give our official predictions then.
But what about Sasha? Do you think she's gonna be healed?
I don't know. But like I said, we got a few weeks left to go.
Oh man,
we'll see who wins. But we'll get back to that a little later on in another video. Finally, to finish that off, we had Mr. Braun Strowman himself calling out the big dog Roman Reigns at the end of the show. But who showed up instead?
The Undertaker.
Who?
The Undertaker.
The Undertaker showed up.
The Undertaker.
None other than The Undertaker showed up. The legend of legends. In all his garb. With the moon.
The darkness.
The fog.
The eyes that rolled back.
The eyes that rolled back. He came back with everything, right? And as he's walking towards the ring, Braun Strowman's like life force is fading. Like he's turning pale.
He's like, I'm out.
And when he steps up to him in the ring, Braun is like, I'm cool with this. I'm out, guys. I'll see you later. But who did show up?
Roman Reigns.
The big dog?
The big dog.
The big dog himself showed up and pretty much told The Undertaker that this was his yard now. Now, I don't think it takes a genius to figure out what happened next.
Obviously.
But if anybody were to step up to The Undertaker, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to get the choke slam from hell. You're going to get the choke slam from hell, which is what happened. Roman Reigns was knocked out, and that's how the show ended. Great way to end the show. Obviously, like I said, we're going to keep talking about WrestleMania until WrestleMania is over and even after. But leading up to it, a lot of things are going to happen. Undertaker being a staple of that show is one of them.
Nah, and then don't forget when the show is ending, Undertaker looked at the sign for WrestleMania.
And that usually means, he's going to be there. He's going to have an opponent. And it looks like it's going to be Roman Reigns. I'm not going to jump ahead and say that that's officially what's going to happen, but it looks like that's what's going to happen.
For sure.
Well, Raw ended on a great note. Now let's move into SmackDown. We had Shane opening up the show with Daniel Bryan, Mr. Yes Man himself, and Daniel Bryan clearly felt that Randy Orton deserved the title shot against Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship.
I can agree with that.
It's tradition. He won the Royal Rumble, but he did vacate his spot. So for the past 2 weeks, they've had to figure out who was going to be the number one contender, and Shane felt AJ deserved it. The phenomenal AJ Styles, for those who don't know. He felt he deserved it because he won the Battle Royal. He won his match last week on SmackDown. And it felt like that's the way it should be. So in order to come to a compromise, it was announced that night, Tuesday night, on SmackDown, for the main event, it was going to be Randy Orton versus AJ Styles to determine the number one contender. I'm very excited. It's leading the main event for SmackDown, AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. Big match. They never fought each other before. This is the first time anybody was ever going to see it on TV. So, a lot to look forward to. But we're going to leave that for the end of the SmackDown recap. We're going to go into Dean Ambrose calling out Baron Corbin. Goodness gracious. I mean, what are you going to do?
Well, Dean called him out again, and he just stayed backstage.
And clowned on him. For staying backstage all the time.
Well, he's the lone wolf.
He's the lone wolf with the wolf shirt.
But Corbin said he's not coming out. He doesn't come out for anybody. Not even if anybody calls him out. He's staying back there and he's chilling. So Dean, of course, being Dean, he's like, all right, if I can't see you in the ring, then I'm going to see you backstage. So Dean goes backstage, looks for him, but like in the segment, you can see a referee like being choked by somebody. He's all struggling and stuff. And then you see Dean walk past and sees him, and then Corbin pushes him.
And then he pulls out the lead pipe and hits him in the chest, hits him in the ribs, and of course Dean goes down. And the worst part of it was he got him under a forklift, and he put the bars of the forklift down on him, and it really did look like it hurt, man. Like, hopefully they said they took him to the hospital, and hopefully he didn't really get hurt. Yeah. But because he is the Intercontinental Champion, WrestleMania is a few weeks away. Who knows if you can heal in that amount of time? But either way, I want to see that match.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's full health, and they can really throw down 1 versus 1, so that we can determine what's going to happen with that Intercontinental title. Like I said, again, going back to the United States Championship, these titles really have just been up in the air, not being used. You know, Dean was in the Elimination Chamber to determine the WWE Champion. He was in the Battle Royal to determine the number 1 contender for the WWE Championship. So it's been a shame that this title that, you know, many legends such as the Ultimate Warrior himself has worn, you know, like it sucks to see that it's been relegated to pretty much just a side piece.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's just something you could win.
Yeah, and it has no meaning. So hopefully, like I said with the United States title as well, hopefully this brings some spotlight back to that and makes it important again. Yeah. But either way, great feud between them two, and it feels like one of those moments where when they finally do go against each other, it's going to be a great match. Yeah. It just feels that way.
It's going to be exciting.
So moving into the match with John Cena and Nikki Bella
versus James Ellsworth and Carmella.
Versus James Ellsworth and Carmella. Now listen, I think we all know that James Ellsworth doesn't hold a candle to John Cena. And barely, luckily, beat AJ Styles those 3 times. But you could tell he didn't want any part of that match.
I don't know. Nah, and then John Cena just kept laughing throughout the whole match. Like, James was scared. He didn't want to go in, but Carmella being Carmella, pushed him in there, and it was over after that. I mean, what? Oh yeah, he had pushed James away, and then Carmella got into John Cena's face. And then Nikki came in and smacked her in the face. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, you know, they did their thing, and James and Carmella lost.
And rightfully so, obviously. I don't think anybody thought he was going to win that match. But what happens at the end of the match with The Miz?
The Miz and his girl come in. The match ends. Cena, being Cena, gets Nikki, and they start kissing. And The Miz grabs John Cena by the leg, pulls him out, throw him against the steel stairs, and the Mrs. girl just throws Nikki on the pole. Nikki hits the pole and hits the ground, and the Miz is just talking a bunch of crap.
He talks a bunch of crap about John and Nikki and how fake it is and all that stuff. But basically, I mean, listen, the Miz he's been working pretty hard for the past few months. He's not necessarily my favorite wrestler.
Mr. Real World?
Mr. Real World himself, right? But you got to give him the fact that he has been there. And you know, while John's been away, he has been doing his thing. But either way, it looks like this is leading towards something. We'll see what happens. Maybe a Nikki Bella and John Cena versus The Miz and his girlfriend. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure how great the match is going to be.
It'll probably be an exciting match.
We'll see.
Obviously The Miz is mad, so he's going to go full force.
Yeah, that's true. You know, that is very true.
So it might be exciting.
And if he hits Nikki, you don't know what could happen. John could snap and break him down. So that's what happened there. Leading into the women's division, I'm actually pretty excited about this. Listen, there's times where I don't know if the SmackDown women's division is as good as the Raw women's division.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's shown a lot of promising things. So Alexa Bliss comes out for her Blisseration or whatever it was called, and pretty much declared herself the best female athlete in the women's division for SmackDown. And Daniel Bryan, being the genius that he is, he comes out and basically tells her that at WrestleMania, she's going to have to defend her title against every woman in the locker room that is able to fight. Damn. So we're talking Nikki Bella, we're talking Natalya, we're talking Mickie James, we're talking, the list goes on and on. So is that going to be a battle royal? Is that going to be one after the other?
I'm thinking it might be that.
It could be that.
I mean, because I don't know if you remember WCW.
Yeah, WCW had a few matches like that.
They did that. I mean, it's tiring, but you got to prove yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyways, that ended up in a in a tag team match with Mickie James and Alexa Bliss versus Natalya and Becky Lynch. Unfortunately, Becky Lynch ended up getting hit from the back from Natalya. Natalya basically turned her back on her and she walks out, leaving her to get pinned by Alexa Bliss. The most electrifying entrance in WWE right now, Mr. Shinsuke Nakamura. I mean, you can argue with me all you want, but I think it's the dopest one. Anyways, him and TJ Perkins, they put on a great match. Former Cruiserweight Champion versus former NXT Champion. And it was a great match, but really, we were here to see Shinsuke Nakamura. He did not disappoint. He ended up with the win. So, to recap, Raw, we got a few things solidified. We have Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens for the United States Championship at WrestleMania. We got Bill Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. We don't know about the tag team titles yet.
Yeah, not yet till Monday.
Undertaker might be in the mix.
Yep.
Moving on to SmackDown, for sure. We have Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. We have Alexa Bliss versus the entire women's roster. Also, let's not forget, at Raw, we have Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, and Bayley for the Raw Women's title. The Cruiserweight division, we might see Neville versus Austin Aries. We'll see. We'll see if that works out. And then at NXT next week, we have Bobby Roode versus Cassius Ohno. But we have NXT TakeOver of Orlando the Saturday before WrestleMania. Shinsuke might be there. Bobby Roode might be the champion. Maybe we see the rematch. Maybe we don't. Maybe we see Asuka putting up and defending her women's title against Ember Moon. A lot of things are going to happen. We are on the road to WrestleMania. We got a few weeks left. We're going to be covering this as the weeks go on. So stay tuned. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, share it with you and your friends. If you're into the WWE Universe, this is the place to be. My name is Kid Cardinal.
Drop out.
Thank you for watching, guys.